speaker, YouTuber, and maybe a bunch of things here and there. I think of myself as someone who just expresses her mission, which is growing people and growing businesses through like any channel. So whether it's career as a good person or it's content and making videos, all of it is just for me to express the mission that I have of growing people and growing businesses. So in a year, all of the things I mentioned might change, but I think the one thing I'll still be consistent is just the need to impact people's lives and their businesses. That's it.
All right.
That's me.
Thank you. Being able to impact people's life and grow businesses. I think a majority of us here are here because we want to, one, grow our businesses, two, basically know how you've been able to stay consistent uh, doing what you do, and three, the challenges that you might have faced along the way in terms of those things that might have scared you, basically your fears and what in entirely or in entirety either deterred or motivated you to stay on track, and in terms if you did change direction, why, and then every other person would have their own question.
Um, haven't managed to remain consistent. That's a good question. I think for me, right, it's just been about having a goal and like sort of like knowing what kind of life I want to create for myself. So the one reason why I've been saying maybe 2015, 2016, right, and I'm still doing some of those things I was doing then and doing them better is because I mean I want to be rich and successful first of all, and I genuinely want to impact people's lives. So like it's almost impossible for me to not think about doing stuff because I do have a dream and I do have like goals, and I believe that I'm in this world to do like really great things. Like I really genuinely believe that. And so I'm always like, okay, what can I do today that can get me closer to those things? There are a lot of things that I have started that I have stopped. So it hasn't been 18 of every single thing I do. I've constantly done them over the years. There are things I've done. I used to blog one time. I don't blog anymore. I don't even write anymore. There are times when this whole year I think I've probably done Instagram like 20% of the whole year, and there was a time where like previous years it was like back to back. So it hasn't generally just been a thing of like every single thing consistently, but I think about considering my life as a whole, right? And that's just like in terms of me growing and getting better and getting clearer what I want to do. So I understand that there are things, like I said in my introduction, that all I remember good marketer, good mentor, all of those things. In a year, I could be introducing myself as something different because I'm not necessarily tied to titles or tied to specific like, oh, I have to do YouTube for the rest of my life because I've started. I see each of these things as, oh, at this time it has a purpose and it's helping me to go. If in 3 months I then realize that okay, this thing is not necessarily contributing anymore to like my goals and my dreams and my purpose, or I'm not doing it anymore for the right reasons, I will stop being consistent. I will throw it all away. You get what I mean? So like the thread of consistency is not even in just like the specific channels that I've used over time, but more of the kind of person I want to be and the kind of person I want to become. And that person is just somebody who is very fanatic about growth, right? Growth in my career for myself. I want to get better every year. I want to work at better companies. I want to impact and be very result oriented consistently. Growth in how I express my mission. In the kind of things I talk about, the kind of events I say yes to. Growth generally for me is like, oh, I'm getting better at myself and I'm still staying true to who I am in terms of how I impact people. And that has been the one thing that's consistent. So if you ask me how have I been consistent, I would say it's because I've been able to get a very clear sense of who I am and the kind of life I want to live, the quality of life I want to create for myself. And so regardless of what changes per time, if that clarity is there, I'm very sure, like, okay, this is where I'm headed, and so I'm going to keep doing things that get me there. Um, have I been afraid a lot of times or scared? Of course, all the freaking time, all the freaking time. um, I'm generally a very anxious person, right? So like I have like serious anxiety things and social anxiety issues. So that sort of can complicate a lot of things. It means that feelings that some people might just have and little worry. If I get a little bit worried, it can go from 0 to 100 real quick, just like that. So yes, I've had that. One of my biggest failures and fears is fear of failure. I am scared or feeling that can be very paralyzing. I'm scared of starting afresh or starting over. However, I learned this very, very early on. And I think I learned this in 2015 specifically. I was at an event and Umfoniko was speaking and she said something that completely changed how I deal with my fears and how I approach my fears. And she said, do it afraid. And for me, do it afraid means that I will be scared shitless. Like I would want to like piss my pants. I would like to like, yeah, I'm super anxious. Like anxiety wants to kill me, but in spite of that, I'm still going to do it anyway, right? So every time I get scared, every time I get demotivated, every time I feel like this thing is impossible to do, I remember that peace, do it afraid. So like I'm not going to ignore the fear and not feel it. I'm not going to feel like a superwoman, hard guy. I would feel my feelings, but in spite of that feeling, I will still go ahead and make the moves I want to make. And if it doesn't work out, that's fine. Lesson learned, the move on. If it works out, I'll be like, yay, I'm glad that I did it in spite of the fear. So that's kind of like the answer to that first question. Have I been consistent? There's a clarity of vision of this is who I am and this is kind of what I want to live. And so no matter what changes, that vision is consistent and it helps me to keep working day to day to my goal. And dealing with fear inconsistency is just like I'm not trying to like not be afraid because like it's a natural feeling. I'm just gonna keep like doing the things that scare me and doing them afraid. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, it does. So but from your answer, I like got another kind of question. So the question is, so what were like the things you did to get that clear picture? Because you said that it's seeing or having found that clear picture of what you want to do with your life. That's what has kept you consistent in terms of growth and knowing when to drop some things and knowing the things to stay with across the year. So how did you get that clear picture?
Um, I think it's. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I think that it was done over time, right? I don't think that I mean, so for some people, they can just wake up and maybe know their purpose. But I think that you really find out who you are by exploring and by just daring to explore and daring to like try a lot of stuff. So when I really started earlier in my career, I gave myself into just trying. I was saying yes to everything. I was doing everything. There was a year in 2018. I was working like 7 days a week consistently, saying yes to everything. If it's events, if it's training, if it's like I was just doing everything that like every opportunity that came my way, I was doing it. Until it became clear the kind of things that I really liked, the kind of things I really enjoyed, the kind of spaces I really wanted, the kind of spaces I want to create, and just like a better idea of who I wanted to be. So like I think that I found and clarity comes in doing, right. It's something I say all the time
Yeah.
that clarity comes in doing. It's not like I don't have my life figured out right now. I have a sense of this is who I want to be, this kind of life I want to create, this is where I'm going to. But however, like it has become clearer every step of the way. The kind of clarity I have now is clearer than what I had last year. It's clearer than what I had in January. It's clearer than what I had in June. You get like it gets
Yeah.
clearer by every step, every single day. And that's also something that drives me because I know that or I think I have a sense of what my life would be like and kind of things I want to do and kind of way I want to give. And I know from history, right? Right, you learn life in hindsight. I learn now that, oh, if I just do with the current understanding that I have, by the time I do, that result, whether it's pass or fail, will give me even better clarity of the next step. So I'm very just like, oh, just do, because even though it doesn't make sense, total picture, by the time I take that one step, then it gets clearer and gets clearer and gets clearer. So that's kind of like the way I think about it. Like, oh, I have a sense, not as if like it's all figured out. That's one. So like clarity comes in doing something that keeps me moving. So it's like, oh, how are you so consistent? I'm like, because I have a sense of where I'm going to, but I also know that that sense is not even like picture perfect yet. And so the clarity that will come in doing would push me to keep being consistent so I can get more clarity. But it's also just like exploring and exploring and exploring and finding what you like and finding what you want. And like growth just does amazing things to you. And it's something like I tell a lot of people this is like, give yourself the room to grow and give yourself the room to change and give yourself the room to evolve, because that's every step that you do, then you just, it makes more sense and you get a better sense of who you want to be, right? So I've done that over time, like just like giving myself exploration. And I did that a lot for like the first 2 years of my career. I gave myself into just like, in a way that it was almost detrimental to my health because I was doing a lot, right? But that was important for me to like know so many things and then decide, okay, this is the path that I wanted to go. If you're also spiritual, praying also helps. So like my mission of inspiring people or growing people, it made sense. The words made sense over time, but the idea came as a result of just literally asking God, what am I in this life to do, right? And just praying about it. And I just like got the sense of, oh, you'll be a helper of men, you inspire people. But it never like crystallized into, oh, I want to do this, this, and this. But as I took that idea, then it began to make sense. If you get what I mean. So it's like, if I summarize what I'm trying to say, right? One, it's a sense of your spiritual, prayer could help. You can like explore and you can pray. But even prayer aside, is a thing of exploring and giving yourself to the opportunities that come your way, right? I think people are too pressed now to just find out one thing and move with it and be like, oh, I found out what to do in my life. By the time you get to 25, or get to 30, or get to 45, you realize that, oh my God, there's so many lives. I was watching Money Heist 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and Tokyo said this to me before she died. She says, we live many lives. And I'm like, wow, this is like one of the most profound things I've ever heard in my life. That we live many lives, and other time that we enter is an opportunity to live a new life. Every new city you go to, every new job that you get, every new opportunity or challenge that you give yourself to is another opportunity to live a new life. So like that sense is there to say, oh, I would explore and I would explore and I would explore and I will live my many lives, but it somehow will find yourself crystallizing. So like, yeah, I think that's how I found the sense of who I want to be, by just giving myself the exploration and giving myself the opportunities. And as I did each of them day by day, it began to make more sense with what I wanted to do or the exact kind of life I want to live. And it's not picture perfect yet, but history has told me that the more I do, the more it gets clearer. So I'm going to keep doing.
All right, makes sense. There's something. So this is like a personal fear. It's the danger of getting lost in. There's the danger of getting lost while exploring, and yes, there's a thousand and one opportunities, and there's a thousand and one ways you can express yourself as a person. But for me, I keep getting scared that okay, there's a tendency I would get lost in something that probably I don't really like, but I don't know, it's pain. Okay, let me use pain because the focus is to get rich. Uh, it's pain, and well, it gives me access to a type of life I want to live. But at the end of the day, I don't know if you categorically understand what I'm trying to ask here, but it's like I'm scared of getting lost in doing something that really does not resonate with me, but I just found myself there because I was exploring and I didn't know how to come back. So, in a situation like that, what would you say I do?
I think that not everybody's self-aware, but we always sort of know, right? Like self-awareness for me is like coming to the recognition and acceptance that this is who I am, like this is what's happening in my life. Not everybody gets there to say, oh yes, I recognize and accept and I want to work up on it. But everybody knows, right? That oh, I don't like this thing, I like this thing. They can tell in their mind, in their spirit, in their heart, just by their actions that I mean, I like football over basketball. I like rice over beans. I would prefer to do this work over this work. We might not like say with our full chest, but you will always know that gut feeling is always there for people. And I think that that's something that we should learn to trust more and then begin to like bring to the forefront of our mind and say, okay, I'm owning how I feel about this because that's the only way you can truly go. If you get lost and you don't accept and recognize that you're lost, you would forever remain in that lost spot. That's like the very first thing. Like being deliberate about your self-awareness, like recognizing and thoroughly investigating how you're feeling, how you're thinking, the choices you're making, and deciding is this something you want to change or is this something you want to go on with. Now, when you get to a place where you're exploring, and maybe one of them is bringing money, but it's not something that you want to do, it's left for you to decide on what the next step you want to be, right? You can either do, okay, you know what, I don't want to do this, but I need the money, and so let me do this for the next 2 years because it's a means to an end, and then catch yourself and be deliberate about after I hit this financial goal, then I want to go and do my passion, right? Or you can say, you know what, money is important, but my happiness or fulfillment in the work I do per time is much more important, and I can always get money eventually. And stop that thing you're doing and retrace your step to the next thing that would then give you the fulfillment and money over time, right? It might not be a clear cut, there's this opportunity here that's fulfillment, and there's one as opportunity, but you can say, okay, there's something I Ferrari Tori said one time in the podcast or something I listened to years ago. I said some people say, oh, you don't know what you want to do, but you know what you don't want to do. So I might not know who I want to be, but I know that I don't want to be a medical doctor. That's a place to start, right? And you can just start narrowing down all the things that I don't want to do, and then eventually you will find the thing you want to do. So if this one is, oh, I'm lost here, I don't have, it gives me money, but I don't find fulfillment, I will try the next thing. If that thing gives me fulfillment, I keep moving. If it doesn't, I will stop again and I'll try the next thing. It's about exploration is literally giving yourself the opportunity to try and fail and make mistakes until you find the thing that says, oh yes, this is where I'm supposed to be. It's like owning the fact that you have a track record of, oh, I don't like this, I don't like this, but owning your chest and say, because I'm trying to find something that I want. And there's no one path, right? Some people would go through the past and say, I know right now that I hate my job and I hate this thing I'm doing, but I'm doing it for money. And they will own it and they will make the money. And when they hit a goal, they will stop and go and pursue music or entertainment or something as a passion. Other people will start from, I don't even want to smell career. I will hustle for 5 years doing maybe music and I'll be in the streets. And eventually after 5 years I will blow. You get like there's no one way to it. Some people would start from the scratch of I want to pursue that thing I already know. Other people will start from let me lose myself and just make money. Right. But it's always just about deciding and nobody can tell you this. You have to like own your journey, and that's where self-awareness comes. What do I want right now? What do I want per time? What is most important to me right now, right? Like what kind of life do I want to live? And even if I don't have it all, like I said earlier, like we always have that instinct is always there, whether we like something or not, right? And you just have to be daring enough to take the steps that you do not want to, or that scare you, basically, because it's scary, right? Change is scary. If you get lost along the way and you realize you have to retrace your step, that's going to be a really scary thing because sometimes retracing your step means starting from scratch. But again, it's your end goal. What do you want at that time? I have done things that I prioritize money over rest, over my mental health, over my physical health, over my passion. It was just like, if you give me money right now, I would do it. There are clients I've worked with that I had known that this client is a devilish client. But because they have money, I would say yes to the deal. And then halfway down the job, I'll be saying, oh, but Peace, you knew that this thing will not work out. But I will only with my chest that I'm here already and I will do it. Like, so everybody knows that thing. You just have to decide on where your head is at per time, what the right choice for you will be. And there's no one way to it, right? I've done things for money. There are also things that I have done. I'm like, if this thing will give me a lot of money right now, but right now I'm going to prioritize peace of mind over this money, and I'll say no to it. But we always have that choice to make. And I've had points in my career where, and I'll give you guys a real example. So I left the first real job office work that I had was at an agency called Web Coopers. So I did work for us for a year during my NYC year. And then this other company came and gave me like this good offer. And it was a lot of money. After I finished NYC, Web Coopers wanted to keep me. But the money they were offering me was way less than what these guys were offering me. And I'm like, yeah, I just finished NYC. I'm in Lagos. It would be nice to make money. And we dilly dallied and I got the job. Now, it was something that I thought I really would enjoy, right? I remember at the offer, they gave me two options. You can head the training center or and do a bit of agency work here and there, or you can work full time at the agency. And I'm like, training is like what I would do. The CEO asked me that day, said, Peace, what do you prefer, actual digital marketing or training? And I'm like, both. And he was like, no, which one would you do for free? And I'm like, I would wake up in the morning and I would do training for free every single day. So I'm like, that's my passion. Like, I would do it for free. That's my passion. So I took the training job and with agency like 20% of it, and I really enjoyed it. Right, I was training. I was like, it was a very good time in my career. I went deep in digital marketing, all areas. I trained kinds of people, interns, senior executives, middle level executives. I still really like training, even now I do. However, 6 months down the line, I realized that there were days where I would wake up and I just do not want to go to the office and go and speak to people. Right? Like, I don't want to wake up and then when I get to the office, I want to just go to the office and be pressing computer. I don't want to see students or whoever I'm teaching that day and now have to smile and talk and train. It was just exhausting, right? So this is me. This is something I would wake up at any time and do for free. But realizing that's not something I want to do every single day of my life because hey, I like my space and I'm introvert. Talking is exhausting, training is exhausting. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? And at some point I realized where I am right now, I have two ways to go in my career. I can go deep into like the learning development space and education space, or I can retrace my steps and then go and do like core digital marketing. And I'm like, either both of them will be fun. But learning and development means that I could almost have to always wake up every morning and have to teach people. And I hate that I have to wake up every morning to teach people. However, I like teaching, which is very ironic, right? But at some point, I had to realize that, okay, you know what, this isn't for me. So I took like a whole 360 step backward from something that I love, but I just realized that I can't do it every day, right? I took a 360 back. I wanted to go and find a job that had nothing to do with training and said, you know what, if I do this, I can still do training on the side, right? And realizing at that point that I might have made a mistake because I spent 1 year of my life instead of still getting more practical skills, I was in more theoretical stuff. But I owned the mistake and said, okay, but if I had never taken this offer, one, I would always have thought that teaching every day is my passion. Now I know that teaching is my passion, but not what I have to do every single day.
Every
I
day.
know for a fact, and that's because I made that mistake. I spent 1 year at that job, right? So I like nobody can convince me now to go and be a full-time lecturer. There's no money that can convince me. I can be a part-time lecturer, 2 hours a week. I will get the fulfillment of speaking, and then I'll go back to a job that I don't have. Like I know that because of that mistake, and if I never taken that offer, I would never have found that. So I ask myself sometimes, okay, is that actually a mistake? No, it's not. It's 1 year spent in maybe not doing what I should have been doing, but I've learned such a valuable lesson that would take me through the rest of my life and my decisions. And so that 1 year was not wasted in any way. You get so like I had to first of all make that choice. Half of the choice was money driven, but also recognize at the time when I realized that okay, I don't like the way I'm feeling about this choice and where I am right now, and I had the response to do something about it, and I did something about it, right? And that's kind of like the way I see getting lost. You have to. be deliberate about that self-awareness and then decide, okay, once I come to this recognition and acceptance of where I am in my life and how I'm feeling and what I'm doing now, the question then becomes, what do I do about it? And only you can decide what the right answer is. But even if you make the wrong choice, if you learn along the way, then that's at the end of the day not the wrong choice.
Thank you. That really answers. It breaks down a lot of walls. So, guys, if you have questions, you can drop it in the chat window so that I don't get carried away with my questions. So, I have one more question, like, before I take other questions. Um, my question is directed towards biases. Biases in the sense that, so we are Nigerians and we grew up in very different settings, and some of us grew up in environments that have cultured our minds to think in a certain way, um, about everything, about money, about life, about opportunities, about everything generally. How did you, will I say, rewire your mind to think in the direction of growth and to think in the direction of growth? Does this question make sense?
So if I hear you correctly, you're basically asking how maybe you want to ask again, so I'm sure.
Okay, so how have you been able to rewire your mind? Okay, okay, I think I just got the question. How have you been able to keep an open mind? Because exploration comes with having an open mind to try new things, irrespective of the bias or irrespective of the conceived notions that might have set in because of the environment you grew up in. So, how have you been able to keep an open mind through your explorative phase or through the explorative phase of your life? And if you're still exploring, how have you stayed open to opportunities?
That's a good question. Have I been able to keep an open mind? I think that mm, that's a result of like the amount of learning I did in a short period of time and the kind of people that I had around me. So I won't take credit for it. I think that I think if I had a conversation with my 16-year-old self, she's going to be shocked. Like, wow. Like when I was entering university, I don't even think that I had an inkling what my life was going to turn out or how it was going to turn out. Like I wasn't this person. But I was lucky enough to meet people who were a bit older, who were already on their own path to like growth and greatness, and just like, yay, Timmy, you're smart. Come, let's be friends, and we'll just read a ton of books together and watch a ton of videos together and watch The Secrets together and discuss about it. And I think those seeds at that time, I was 100 level, which means I was 16, 17, has kind of like just germinated over time, right? Um, and so everything I've just done now has just been a reflection of like, oh, my past experiences. Um, but in my adult age now, I'm learning that the only way to truly experience growth and life is to be open minded, right? So it's two things. When I was younger, I say like the last 6 years of my life, or maybe like 7, 8 years, all through university and out of university. It was just a thing of I had met a lot of people, I had attended a lot of events. There was a time I was a seminar fanatic. I would attend every event, every coaching program. I did a lot of self development myself very early on, and so I was just producing. You know how they say that you can't give what you don't have. So I was basically just
Yeah.
giving and producing and being an output of the things that I had poured in and been pouring in. Right. That's where what has gotten me to here. But here now, I'm realizing now as an adult that the only way to truly experience life and growth is to be deliberately open minded. So when I was working last year, maybe a bit of it was unconscious because of fruits that or seeds that have grown. But now I am now deliberately planting those seeds myself, right? Because I have seen what doing that unconsciously has led me to. So now I'm like, oh, I have to. It's much more expedient now that I'm 26 to be very open minded, because as you grow, you just realize that you don't know shit. Like, I just realized that I don't know anything. I haven't even like, I haven't even explored 50% of my potential. There's so much of the world that I have no idea about. There's so much of me. Like, how much I know me now is so much different from how much I thought I knew me 2 years ago. How much of the world I know now is like, it's so different, right? So like, I'm understanding in hindsight, like, oh my, there's so much. And so if I even have any chance of getting to 80%, 100% of my potential, of making genuine friendships with people across the world, regardless of who they are, where they are from, how they think, then I have to tell myself, be open minded, be less judgmental. Do not judge people by their first approach, or do not judge a book by its cover. Those things I'm deliberately reiterating, because there's just so much. And it's good because when you guys now hear this from me, it's a call for you to say, hey, it means that you can then be deliberate about being open minded. Like, being open minded is literally a choice that you make. You can be closed up and say, I grew up this way, I was brought up this way, these are the experiences that I have, these are the things that I know. Or you can say, you know what, there's if you ask yourself, you know that there's so much of the world. Like, you might be in Lagos, but then there's the things happening in Ogun, in Benin, in Oshun, in Delta State, that you have no idea what's about. And let's say you're in Nigeria or in Abuja, there's things in Ghana, in Togo, in Benin Republic that you have no idea what's about. Then now think about outside Africa. Think about outside this universe. Like, if you think about it, there's so much of the world. So you can be deliberate about saying, I don't know anything, and own it with your chest and learn. However, being open minded does not mean soaking up everything that comes, right? It just means allowing yourself to not be judgmental first off, allowing yourself to weigh what you are learning versus what you thought you knew and experience you have, and say, okay, which one is actually true, without any bias. And that takes a lot of work, right? It's confronting the things that you know and realizing that, okay, I don't know, or I was wrong about this opinion, or I was wrong about that. So like, it's like, take the things that you know in this hand, take the things that you don't know in this hand, and for every time they come, you're weighing them consciously, and you're making your choices about the opinions that you want to stick to. So it's not soaking it up and just becoming very, what's the word, just becoming anything, right? It's just not, it's like you're not allowing yourself to just, it's not like peer pressure and you're just becoming any, it's soaking in, is learning, but is in that learning, then be deliberate about how you weigh it with what you thought you knew, and making a choice on which one to actually go with. So it's a lot of deliberacy, but like, it's super important, because now I'm just like, I mean, I moved to a new place recently and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's not, nothing here is familiar. I'm not going to be Peace Itimi here. I'm just going to be like Peace, and figure out everything from here, and figure out who I want to be here, and learn everything that comes my way. And that's the best way to grow.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing so far. So let me just head over to the chat window and read out some questions. So we're going to be taking it from the bottom up. So Ayodeji said, "Hi, Peace. Amazing stuff so far. My question is regards productivity. When you said there was some point in your life you saying yes to almost everything in the bid to explore, how did you cope? How were you always able to show up? That's one. I'm in a space right now where I'm really exploring a lot of things, make I know life. In as much as it can be exciting, it can get overwhelming too. Sometimes I get so much anxiety about having so much to do that I end up not doing anything at all. I think the core question is how did you cope and how were you always able to show up?
And that's a very good question. See, I felt sick first of all. That's what happened first of all. That year literally was like, I was working 7 days a week for months, like 4 5 months consistently. And then I broke down. And then first of all, I realized that all this thing I'm trying to do, if I die, they'll move on without me. And then I need to pick my battles. What would be the most important things? Like, so the way I pick my priorities now is a thing of what would make the most impact in my life right now, this month and this quarter, right? That's how I decide on. So it's like, what am I trying to achieve? If I'm trying to explore, I'm trying to like say yes to opportunities, I'm trying to take on new challenges. If exploration is key for me, then at that time, what I'm trying to do is also, yes, I'll say yes to a lot of things, right? That's what the exploration means. However, I would find a way. Or at least I found a way now to have people, so it's not just me doing it. I would delegate some stuff. I'll be the team for some stuff. I will stagger my calendar in different ways. Somebody says, "Hey, Peace, I want you to do this event." I'll be like, "I can't do it now in September, but I can do it in November." I'm not saying no, but I've just like pushed it a little bit so I can clear out what my schedule currently is right now, right? If something that has to be done now, I'll ask my friends, Joyce, I have this gig that I want to do because of this, this, and this. Do you have the bandwidth to do it with me? Or ask somebody else, do you have the bandwidth to do it with me? That way I'm dedicating and not putting all this pressure by myself. So it's like building structures that help you become more productive in the sea of all the things that you have to do. That's probably the best way I've seen to being productive. Um, but at that time, I won't lie, at that time, I didn't even have any structure. I just wasn't sleeping. I wasn't having any social life. I was just doing consistently. It was good. It built me up in a way. Would I and I mean the result has shown. Would I ever do that again? No. Not because I won't do that same level of intensity anymore. Not because I don't want to explore, but also because I've gotten to the level where I can explore without killing myself, right? Like I can explore now because I have connections, I have friends, I have team, like I can. Somebody can say come and speak, and I'll be like, I can't do it for the next 3 months. If you can move your event, if you have another event, like I have the equity to do that now that I didn't have then, right? So like so that's why I said like you have to decide what you're trying to achieve per time. If right now you don't have the network or the team or the structure, the money to delegate and put structures, just give yourself the next. Say, you know what, something has to go. What we give your social life will give, right, a bit of your physical health, your mental health. I say, you know, for the next 3 to 6 months, I'm giving myself to this exploration, and after that, I'm taking a chill pill and then filtering and deciding how to move forward. That's something that you can do, and that's something I would encourage, especially if you're young. Do it with the intensity, but give yourself a time lapse. It's not something that you can do forever because you would break down. You will break down. But then as you do, they begin to think about in my next step, right? What will be most important so I can start building for then? Is it in terms of the people I'll start connecting with so that in 6 months, when I need a community to work with me, I have built 2 or 5 of this amount of friendships that can actually help, right? Also, it's not necessarily by mental health, is there are things that you could do, right? It's like, oh, I'm not going out a lot, but I would meditate every morning on my way when I'm in a bus going to like a certain place. I would listen to a podcast. It's like I would take a walk for 10 minutes every single day. I'll go for a swim. There are actually things that you can do in between your very hectic schedule that will help your mental health, right? So what might suffer the
Yeah.
most might actually be your physical health because you might not be sleeping a lot, but you can actually protect your mental health. Mental health is just space, and that's something I've never compromised ever. Like if something is making me anxious, it doesn't matter what I'm trying to do, I will cut it off. Or I would recalibrate how I think about it. There's meditation, there's daily affirmations, there's journaling, there's therapy. I recommend therapy a lot. Find a therapist. These are things that you can that can help you sustain your mental health even when you are stressed out. But then stressed out is not your physical health, and that's why you have to give yourself a time limit. It's because you can't do it forever. You can do very intense for 3 months, give yourself a 2 weeks break, do another very intense for 3 months, give yourself a 2 weeks break if you can afford it. Or just go like a stretch 6 months like I did in 2018. And then after that, love and light, you move on.
All right, thank you so much. Deja, I hope that answers the question. Then there's Bumi. Hi, Peace. I'm a voiceover artist, and recently I started a perfume business. That's where my love for sales grew. I was hoping to maybe get a recommendation for my sales and marketing journey.
I'm not sure what the question really is. What do you mean, like a recommendation? Do you want to
Yeah.
clarify? A book, a
Bumi,
course? What exactly?
would you would you unmute and just ask your question
Hello.
directly?
Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yes.
Good afternoon.
I don't know where to start from. So I don't know if it's a book, podcast, or I don't even know. I don't really know where to start from. So I don't want to just enter YouTube and search for random things. That's why I asked.
I think you can just start. There's no specific place to start, right? You can literally start from anywhere, the beginning, the end, or the middle, and chart a course for yourself. You can also start from deciding, okay, what are your goals? When you say your sales and marketing journey, do you want to be an entrepreneur? Do you want to be a career person? Like, do you want to get a job? What are your goals for that? What do you want? Where do you want to be in the next 3 to 6 months? In the next 1 year? In the next 2 years? Like, write your goals, and your goals. That's the whole idea of goals, right? It helps you to create a path and it helps you to decide on what next. Like, it gives you a sense of direction. That's literally the thing about goal setting. So you can either just literally, like people do, like just jump into YouTube and start watching videos and to start getting a sense of, oh, what you're learning and how you can practicalize, or start with your goals and work backwards. Where do I want to take this to? And where you want to take it to would then give you a sense of what you need to do next. It could be to get an internship. It could be to go for a more practical training than just YouTube, right? It could be to actually just keep doing what you're doing and keep selling and keep learning as you are experimenting and selling. But the goal would give you that first sense of direction. So that would be my recommendation. But and you can even do both. You can literally jump into YouTube and just start watching sales and marketing videos while you're also sitting down to think through your goals and then work with that.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. So, any other question? We have about 10 minutes to spare. Any other question? Okay. No question. So please, thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this. I do not take it for granted. It means so much, a lot. And happy birthday in
Thank you for having
advance.
me. Thank you so much.
All right then. So that will be the
All
end of
right.
today's conversation. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank you so
Bye.
much, Rudy, for having me. Do take care.
Yeah.
Have a good Saturday.
Yeah.